And we're live. Wait, where are you going? Brian, where are you going? Just left me.
I'm sorry, I had to attend a birthday party. Am I going to get fined $50K right now?
Okay, Kyrie.
Maybe I fell off the edge of the world. I don't know, since it's flat. Whatever. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you're locked in until the point with
Skip.
And the King. You guys know where to find us right now. Skip's handled right there at Dougie J's. You can find him on Twitter. You could also find him simonbroder.com, amazon.ca. Make sure you guys go check out that book. Go get it. You guys know where to find me at King Hussein on all social media. Instagram, to the point. Facebook, to the point. YouTube, to the point, which is where you guys better be watching us right now. But, Skip, I got something awesome to show you, man.
What's
See
that?
right here? My man.
Fly in the six.
Fly in the six. A very good friend of mine I've known a long time. Believe me when I tell you the clothing is very comfortable, very fashionable. And if you guys are Toronto Raptors fans, being fly in the six, you might as well pick up some Fly in the six. We're going to leave his description down low so you guys can go click on there and order it yourself. Skip, actually, to be quite funny about this one, this is your Christmas gift, man.
Oh yeah?
I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah.
That's what I got for you, man. That's all about you.
It's all about that. It's all about that to the point swag, right?
Right? I know we couldn't see each other due to the COVID thing. And speaking on that, what did you have to do today, man?
So today, yeah, I had to get a COVID test today. It's my third one so far in this whole year, which is not very many for most people, I think. But yeah, it's not fun. They just shove this thing up your nose. It's really quite unpleasant. But yeah, I had to go get a COVID test today, just like all the NBA players every day.
Well, that's what I'm gonna say. You're like an NBA player right now, Skip, because right now in the NBA, since we last saw you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, and you guys saw our gorgeous faces, there has been 13 postponed games in the NBA since then. The bulk of it, Washington and Phoenix, but we don't need to get into that. Now, since they're postponing games, Skip, I gotta ask you, do you think they should postpone the season for a little bit? Do you think they should cancel the season? Do you think they should keep going and change the protocols? What do you think about that?
Well, I don't necessarily think they should cancel the season. I think what happened is they saw what happened with MLB and NFL going forward and not doing the bubble situation and just going forward with the season. And they said, we're not going to do a bubble this year. We're just going to roll with it and deal with the postponements as they come. They did have that contingency plan in place where there's going to be makeup games in the second half of the season. So they weren't completely unprepared for this. But at the same time, when you have an outbreak like the Wizards outbreak, where I think they've been out for a week and a half, they've had like more than half their roster test positive. That's where it becomes a big question. Just like with the Marlins last year in MLB, it was kind of just this is when it gets hairy. It's how are we going to get through this? So, I mean, to some extent, I trust Adam Silver and the NBA to do the right thing, but I really think they have to be a little more proactive than they've been about this, because we have seen some games where they've been like, oh, well, we're not going to postpone this game, but we're going to postpone that game because this guy tested positive, but he wasn't guarding the guy. They tested positive on the other team or something. And it's just like the contact tracing seems a little bit sketchy. And there's something and there's something about being on the court with someone for 15 minutes doesn't count as contact for COVID, even though you can easily get COVID during an NBA game. They were implementing all these rules about like you can't touch people on the sidelines, but then it's like if the guy's breathing on you for the whole game, like you could still get COVID from him. Like that's just a fact of life. So they just, I think they've been a bit sloppy in how they've implemented some of that stuff. It's hard though. Like it's hard. We all know it's hard. It's hard for all of us. So I don't know what the answer is. One possibility would just be to take a little mini All-Star break and come back when they have vaccines. But I don't know what the answer is. I think they're just going to keep pushing through. And if it gets any worse, then we're going to hear a little bit more talk about an actual suspension of the season until vaccines can be handed out or something along those lines. So I'm not too sure. What do you think?
Well, see, Skip, you just nailed it. None of us know what it is.
Yeah.
None of us know all the proper protocols. Like, we don't know how to go through this. This is why I have not seen you to give you your Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Right? And this is another reason why, like, you don't get to see your family. And you know what? We also don't get to see you guys personally and hear what you guys got to say. And by the way, Skip, can you bring that up? We have a question from one of our loyal viewers right here.
All right, quick shout out to my boys at To The Point, Skip and King. Quick hot take for you here. Hope to see you on the show. Hope to watch your show later this week. The Raptors now have 5 wins. I believe those 5 wins are because of one man. He's the most improved player in the NBA, in my opinion. He leads all Raptors in almost every category. He is the 6th man of the year, in my opinion, right now. And he's the MVP of the team because I don't think they have any wins without him. And that man is Chris Boucher. Don't ask me why he's still not starting. That's a question for you guys to answer. But that's my hot take. Guys agree or disagree? Talk to you later.
Wow. I enjoyed that one.
Reece is always good for some
Shout
good
out
stuff.
to our
Most
shout out to our
improved
main
6th man. Why don't we just give him MVP while we're at it?
Hey man, listen, shout out to our boy right there, a good friend of the show, Mr. Andrew Reece. You can find him on the Reece Report on Facebook. We're gonna leave a link in the description for you guys. That's where I go for my sports news every morning when I wake up while I'm still in bed. That's where I go check it out. You guys should too. You guys make it a point to do that. Skip, can I go in on this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, okay, Boucher, Quebec Blockier. Okay, this guy. Okay, since we last seen you guys, I gotta tell you, Skip, man, I think he should be in the starting lineup because when I pull out his numbers and I looked at what he's been doing, Andrew, you are correct. What we spoke about. He is leading the Raptors in almost every category except for assists in the last 5 games. Just 5 games, which is where after probably Nick Nurse heard all the noise from all us fans. Did I say us? All the fans for your Tampa, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, for all those guys. You know what? Boucher's come up big. I was looking at the numbers, man. This guy is a plus. Since we last spoke to you guys, I said Pascal Siakam was a minus 41 for the first few games of the season. Right now, Boucher in the last 5 games is a plus 41. Okay? I crunched numbers on this. I don't look at PER. But I looked and I saw he is, for every minute he's in the game, he puts in 0.7 points. The number exactly is 0.706.
Okay.
You want to get down to the nitty-gritty.
It's a made-up stat, but it kind of echoes PER, yeah.
Hey, man, I just looked at how many minutes he played and how many points he put
I
in.
understand. Yep.
Averaged it out. You know, he's had 16 blocks in the last 5 games, right? He's averaging like basically 4 blocks per game. I think he's doing pretty phenomenal. So I agree with you, Andrew. Yes, he should win 6th man of the year, right? He should be starting. And this kid has a huge ceiling. Skip, what do you think of Mr. Chris Boucher.
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious he is the Raptors starter. It's not really a question of whether he starts the games. It's more about whether he finishes them. And he's obviously getting the starter minutes. He's getting the center minutes. Like, there's no question about that. It's just a question of whether the Raptors can buy 5 minutes at the beginning of each half with Aron Baynes. But Baynes is not the starter. He's a starter in name only. Just kind of like the Raptors kind of do this with guys. Like, they did it with Patrick Patterson for a lot of years, where he would come off the bench even though he was their best forward. So it's just kind of, it's not even really a question of that. And all those things about most improved. I mean, he might be in consideration for most improved when it's all said and done. But
Could
six
be.
men a year. This is what bothers me about 6 man of the year. It's like, you can win 6 man of the year if you're just a starter that comes off the bench. Like, if you're playing behind a worse player than you. Like, clearly he's not the 6th man, he's the 5th man. Like, he is obviously the Raptors' 5th starter. It's just the fact that he doesn't come in at the very first minute of the first quarter. That should not preclude you from, like, it should really be who plays bench minutes. It shouldn't be like, anyway, that's more of a philosophical thing. I just think 6 man of the year is dumb. Like, you're going to bring him off the bench all year because you want him to win 6 man. Like, just start him, for God's sake. Like, it's not that hard.
That's what the Raptors need?
Yeah, well, the issue is this. It's kind of, I understand why Nurse is a little bit nervous to bring Baynes in a bench role, just because the team plays so much better fast, and it's easier to kind of rush Boucher in there to play fast. Whereas if you're throwing Boucher into the throwing Aron Baynes into the fire while the team is out and running, he's just going to clog things up and slow things down. But at the same token, he does that at the beginning of the half anyway. Like, he really just shouldn't be playing. The reality is he's not. Baynes is the problem. He's looked a little bit better the last couple of games, but not much. And he doesn't fit with the Raptors' offense. We just saw today they waived Alex Len. I think for a similar reason, because it was interesting because I thought Len had actually outplayed Baynes early in the season. I thought Len had a shot to take over the starting center role. There is some rumors that he's on health and safety protocols, so maybe it's a COVID situation. Maybe it's they want to bring in a center who's younger and faster, who can run with the core guys and not have this big body in the middle who doesn't really do anything, because we've seen like the whole idea of Baynes and Len was that they could bang with the JVs, the Drummonds, the big guys that Boucher couldn't. But we see that Boucher just runs them off the floor anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, they need a better center rotation, whatever that means. Whether that means benching Baynes, whether that means going small all the time, whether that means bringing in a guy in free agency, like, I don't know, a Dwayne Dedman or something. I think it's really going to be interesting to see what they do with the Alex Len roster spot. There's some talk that they might make Yuta Watanabe more of a full-time player because he's on a 2-way contract right now. But I don't think that's the right move right now. I think they really have to address the center situation, and they can deal with the Watanabe situation later in the season. They can trade someone or waive someone later in the season. He's got, like, I think 50 games before it becomes a real issue. So I think they really have to go and pick somebody up and maybe try starting Boucher, bringing whoever they pick up off the bench, starting Boucher, going to an OG Siakam lineup in the middle innings and kind of going that way. There's a few different ways I think this could go, but I think the bottom line is they're moving away from the big, thick center, because the thing you got to understand about Gasol is Gasol was that big white guy in the middle, slow moving, but he's an elite defender and he's an elite passer. So
bingo.
When the Raptors play transition defense, Gasol was there to make an outlet pass. They get the stop, make an outlet pass. He was the backbone of that transition offense. Even if he wasn't up the floor, even if he wasn't actually getting those buckets, he was the one who was initiating them, who was creating the situations where the Raptors could get out in transition. And Baynes just doesn't have that skill set, and neither did Alex Len. So it's kind of like, why are these guys out there? If Boucher can run. I mean, so they're just such a better team when they play small and they play fast. And I think we saw, ever since the Sacramento game, I think we've seen that this is who the Raptors are. And any minutes they're buying with their centers is just, you're just trying to get by. You're not concerned.
So that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yep.
As you talk about the centers and speaking highly of Boucher, the last 5 games since we've seen all you guys, and you guys saw our lovely faces, the Raptors are 3-2. They're on a 3-game winning streak, correct? They won just last night as of this recording. The first 2 games that they lost, they were back-to-back games, and it was against a Golden State team, which, by the way, beat the Lakers last night. Andrew Reece, I know you like that one. Then they lost to Portland, which is also a strong team, only by 1 point each game. But the last 3 games, they're looking a lot better, and they looked pretty good in those first 2 games, those first 2 losses since we last saw you guys. And Skip, I got to ask you, see, as we're on the topic of Boucher, right, do you think he has had an impact on the last 5 games?
Oh, 100%. He's been amazing. He's been one of their better players, really. And this is apparently what he did in the G League. It's apparently what he did in college. Like, this is kind of the guy he's been. Absolutely, he's an impact player, a starter. I think people might be getting a little carried away when they see his flashy numbers, because he is a really good. He's splashed. First of all, he's splashing from 3, which is, you're probably not going to do that all year. But he's a great dunker. He's a great with blocks. He really does do a lot of good things for you on the offensive end and the defensive end, and he should be playing. But let's not get carried away and act like this is Pascal Siakam all over again. Like, the thing you got to understand. No, the thing you got to understand is that Pascal, when he had his breakout season, he was pretty new to the league. He was still 23, 24. Boucher is a lot older than that. Boucher is he's 28. He's kind of just hitting his prime, maybe almost past his prime in basketball terms. So this is the player we see is the player we're going to get. But he's what?
Not me.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm still balling at my age.
Well, he's good. He's good. He's good. I just don't think we should expect that he's going to take another leap. He's going to be an all-star. He can be a good center in this league. He can be a Hassan Whiteside type. That's fine. That's very valuable to the right team, and I think he's in a great situation with the Raptors right now. But the Raptors anyway, the Raptors have looked really good in the past. That's past
what
5
I wanted
games.
to ask you. What do you think the last couple games? How do you feel about the Raptors going forward?
Well, I mean, I feel like they've found themselves. I think they figured out their rotations a little bit. They figured out who they are. They understand now that they don't have Gasol back there to be that back line of their defense. But we saw yesterday.
And Ibaka.
Yeah, but Ibaka, Boucher has basically become Ibaka. That's basically what's happened. Ibaka, and the 3-point shooting. So they don't have Gasol in the back line, which I think was making their defense a little scattered and scrambled to start the season. But we saw last night they really dug in. They really made Luka Doncic's life hell. They really got a lot of steals. Van Vliet had 4 steals. Anunoby had a couple balls knocked away. I don't know who the steals are credited to. So I think they've really found their defensive identity. I think they've started to score a little bit better. They're still more of a transition team. They still really struggle in the half court. They still have really long fourth quarter scoring droughts, which is what we saw in those 2 losses and even in one of the wins, I think. So they're not a perfect team by any stretch of the imagination. They're still going to have issues, but I absolutely think they're a playoff team. Still maybe a low seed, maybe a 7-8 seed if things don't work out. But I was actually just looking over at 538 and I saw some interesting numbers, which basically 538 has 2 projection systems, right? They've got Raptor and ELO. So by Raptor, the Raptors have I think an 85% chance of making the playoffs and a 5% chance of making the finals, which is a lot higher than I would expect for a 5-8 team. But then you look over at the ELO ratings, and they have a 90% chance of making the playoffs and a 20% chance of making the finals. Now that's a little misleading because it's early in the season. That calculates some numbers from last year, which probably don't matter anymore. But I looked at that and I was like, okay, so the Raptors have a 20% chance of making the finals, and the Nets have a 5% chance of making the finals, according to this one projection system, which I'm not buying. But what do you think about that? Raptors over Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals?
What did I say last week, ladies and gentlemen? Did I not say I don't care about the first 10 games? Skip, what's the Raptors' record?
Raptors are 5-8 right now.
Okay, so that means the last 3 games they won after that first 10.
Yep.
You guys got to have faith in these Raptors. What? Oh my goodness! I think they're onto something right here. I think it is possible that they can make it to the finals. They could face the Brooklyn Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Milwaukee Bucks, maybe the Miami Heat, maybe the Philadelphia 76ers. You never know. At the rate it's going, maybe the New York Knicks. Anyway.
I'm not buying
I think the Raptors. Yeah, I know, right? I'm loving what they're doing. Like I said, guys, have faith. They just won the last 3, okay? Which is their new season. And it's come under the helm of Mr. Coach of the Year, Nick Nurse. Maybe not this year. Depends on how far they go. But, Skip, I saw a quote that he said the other day, man.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, if you guys weren't living underneath a rock when it comes to the NBA, or if you guys are completely oblivious to sports,
there may have been a trade.
There was a major trade that happened between 4 teams, multiple picks. Let's not get into that, but 3 of those teams affect your Toronto Raptors, which was the Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers, and the Brooklyn Nets. Now, Nick Nurse, I saw this quote, Skip, killed me, man. It made me laugh. He said, I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not quoting directly, but he basically said he wishes the teams well, but he hopes they flop, and he doesn't care about Houston, the only team that's not in the conference, to join your Tampa. Your Raptors.
All right.
Okay. Now, Skip, do you want to let us know what you think about that trade? I don't know if you want to get into the details, but there was a lot of pieces that moved.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into every single name, but we can go with our overview. So obviously, this trade makes the Nets super scary to play against. You never want to go against KD and Harden and Kyrie in the same game. But where are you going? Bye,
Sorry,
Kyrie.
I heard you say Kyrie.
Yeah, so I think obviously it makes the Nets super, super scary with those 3. There are some issues that I see with that, though. And I mean, I could go down this trade and I could say all 4 teams lost. Or maybe not 4, because I think Cleveland made out like bandits. But I could say the other 3 teams all lost.
Houston made out like bandits.
Wow.
Depot and God knows how many picks.
No, but you could say all 3 of these teams got in some trouble. Because first of all, you look at the Nets. So now they have 3 superstars. They have 1 washed-up center. They have no backup center. They have no defense. And they have no draft picks. So, okay, you're gonna score a boatload of points in the regular season.
They got a second rounder in 2022 or 2023, I believe.
Yeah. So they're all in. They're Tyler bust this year, right?
Yep.
But they're just gonna score a boatload of points all year, and then they're gonna get to the playoffs, and they're gonna have to play defense, and it's gonna be a bit of an issue. I mean, I'm not saying they can't win the title without defense, but I'm saying that once it gets to that Eastern Conference final, once they get up against the Lakers in the finals, they might have some trouble. And I think giving up Jared Allen was a mistake. I think giving up Jared Allen was a mistake. I think they
Oh, yes.
They looked as hard as they could to try to get some other way to finesse a pick somewhere. They tried to trade Landry Shamet for a first rounder. No one wanted any of the other pieces on the roster, and they had to give up Allen for that last pick. But man, that hurts. And for a team that's all in this year, that was the guy they really wanted to keep around.
Yep.
So that's a big concern for them. I still think they'll be great. Like, I think they're going to win a boatload of games. I'm a little concerned once it gets into really greasy crunch time in the playoffs that they might end up losing in the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that. So that's a concern. Now you go down the list, you look at Indiana. Well, they traded Oladipo for LeVert, which looks great on paper, and then it comes out as soon as the trade goes final that LeVert has a mass on his kidney, which he's going to have, I presume, like surgically removed. So that's a whole scary medical issue that could go any different number of ways, and that's a really big concern. And it goes beyond basketball, obviously, but it really puts a damper on what Indy got out of this trade. If you want to look at it from a pure basketball standpoint, I was really happy with them for getting LeVert for an expiring Oladipo, but now it's a little more dicey. And then you look at Houston. Houston got a bunch of picks, but remember, those are all the picks they traded away for Russell Westbrook. So they
basically
they just went back to zero. They got
three first rounders, four swaps, and first rounder that's going to be coming from the Bucks.
Yeah, so they just got back to zero basically, and I don't know what they're doing with an expiring Oladipo. Like, are they going to try and flip him again? Are they going to try and extend him? Like, I don't know. Probably the Sixers deal was a bit better, but there's reasons why they didn't take the Sixers deal. Apparently, the latest rumor is that the Rockets owner didn't want to do a deal with Daryl Morey, which that's just so petty. Like, come on.
That's a little low, man. You got to make a business decision sometime.
Yeah. You got to be a little smarter than that. And then finally, I do think Cleveland made out really well. I would have been pretty happy with the Raptors if they had gotten Jared Allen for a first-round pick.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
He fitted on the Raps so. Oh my God! I didn't want to think about it. Keep going.
Yeah, the reason they didn't is because there's a bunch of salary attached in that trade, which the Raptors can't really afford to do right now. But I would have loved to see them get Jared Allen somehow. So basically, Cleveland won this trade. Everyone else is undetermined. I wouldn't say they lost, but I would say there's downsides for all three teams. But obviously Brooklyn's going to be super scary now. So, what do you think?
I'd like to say, Brooklyn on paper, they do look good, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still not impressed. I got to agree with you on Cleveland, because who are those kids that are in the back court for Cleveland? Now they have all these trees around them.
Yeah.
Right? They have all this. I think Cleveland really did win. I think Houston did win on this one because they recouped their losses.
Yeah.
Right? I think so. I don't know what the hell Indiana was doing. I'd love to have LeVert on my team too, but if I got to give up my main guy.
Well, I think the main thing is LeVert signed for more years. That's the main thing. And they thought Oladipo was going to walk. Yeah.
But still, I would actually be pursuing my main guy to get him in there.
Yeah.
I think this is good for the NBA, even though, it is a super team. You have Batman, Robin, and the Invisible Man on the same team. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because the Nets, they look really good on paper, but I think I posted Dysfunction Junction. That team is going to break down so
you
fast.
did. I saw that.
That team is going to break down so fast. How are those three personalities going to get along? Kevin Durant couldn't even get along with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. He's going to get along with Kyrie and James Harden? I mean, maybe if they're all really good friends like they say they are, but give it 16 months and tell me there's no infighting going on there. Let's be real. Yeah.
Draymond Green might show up and say you're a bit. Anyway.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man Bobby out there. I know you watched the show. We were talking the other day, actually last night, and he had a comment about this, and he mentioned to me I want to share this with you guys, is that he said the NBA is starting to get soft now. These guys want to pick and choose their teams, pick and choose when they want to play, and it's taking away from the joy of the game, I believe. He does as well. Skip, do you think it's taken away from the love of the game? Because, like, I want to see teams come out of nowhere and do some damage. You know what I mean? I don't want to see guys being like, oh, you're my boy. Oh, you're my boy. Oh, you're my boy. Okay, let's make a team. Okay, cool. Let's play. You know what I mean? This isn't the playground. How do you feel about that, man? Do you think it's tarnishing the game?
I wouldn't call it soft because I think soft means something else. I would call it. I think it works on some levels, but my preference is definitely more for a GM oriented league. Like, obviously, I come from watching a lot of baseball where the GM basically has unilateral power. Like, obviously there's no trade clauses and things like that, but you don't see a superstar player going and like telling a GM who to trade for in baseball.
Skip, I like your analogy about baseball because, like what you said, the GM has all the control, or unilateral power.
Yeah,
was your words. Do you think the NBA should be going that way?
Well, I don't. It's not. It's definitely not. But if you look back at the Last Dance and the Bulls and the way that what's his nuts ran that team,
Jerry Krause.
Yeah, the way that he was doing it, it was much more of a baseball mentality where it's like, we're going to get these guys in here. I don't care if the star players aren't happy. I'm going to make the trades that I need to make this team better. Or even what the Raptors did with Kawhi. It's like, yeah, DeRozan and Lowry, they're bros, but like, we got to get Kawhi in here. We're going to make the move. We're not going to let the players control everything. No, I mean, there's lots of negatives to that. Like, people say player empowerment's a good thing because it's, putting the hands back.
I'll uplift you.
But I just, as strategically, I'm way more interested in strategic team building, and like, you need a big man, so you go out and get this type of big man, as opposed to we're just all going to play together.
Skip, I love your analogy about baseball when it comes to how it should be with general managers. I think that's awesome. Guys, you let us know what you think. Hey, you guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe. If you enjoyed it, click like. Send us a comment, send us a shout out. Maybe you can send us a video asking a question where we can cover it for you, just like our man, Andrew Reece, right there on the Reece Report. Okay? Shout out to my man over here, Tony. Fly in the 6. Go fly there. Because we just did a couple years ago. Did I say we?
No, man. On the Raptors bandwagon again.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez. Guys, you know where to find Simon right now. You guys know where to find myself. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little podcast here. And keep it going, guys. Support your Toronto Raptors. Give that Tampa... Support your Raptors, people.
They're coming back one day. Maybe not this year.
Told you. Hey, they're going to come back soon. They're going to come back sooner than everyone thinks. Look at the last 3 games. You guys keep the faith. Keep the hope. All right? On behalf of myself and Skipper, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and
peace.